Hi, welcome to my channel Stars of Terra. Every story you hear here is told in my own real voice, real emotion, real effort. No reuse content, original human storytelling. So let's begin. The war had already swallowed three star systems before anyone realized the mistake. The British coalition had been fighting a desperate defensive campaign against the Gothic Dominion, a species whose fleets blotted out suns and whose soldiers marched without fear. In their panic, the coalition activated an ancient emergency beacon recovered from a dead civilizations, believing it would summon forgotten allies from a long extant empire. The beacon was old, its language fragmented, its coordinates distorted by centuries of stellar drift. No one on the coalition high command truly understood who it would call, only that it promised help. With enemy dreadnoughts tearing through their outer defenses, they had no time for caution. The single plunged into the dark, crossing light years in a single compressed burst. It carried a simple plea translated through a broken code, requesting immediate military assistance under ancient mutual defense accords. Then the coalition waited, hoping for salvation. 3 days later, their sensor detected a gravitational distortion at the edge of the system. It was not a jump signature they recognized. It was not a wrap corridor or a fold in subspace. It was something heavier, solar, deliberate. And then it arrived. A single warship larger than any coalition fortress emerged from a fracture in space that sealed behind it like cooling glass. Its hull was angular and scarred, covered in weapon arrays that hummed with restrained power. No fleet accompanied it, no escort, no diplomatic envoy, just one ship. The identification signal it transmitted was translated with difficulty. Origin, Sol System. Species designation, Immunity. Response, assistance requested, assistance granted. The coalition had never heard of Sol. They had never catalogued a species called human. But as the massive vessel slowly rotated to face the approaching Gothic Armada, one thing became very clear. Whoever humanity was, they had come ready for war. The human warship did not rush forward. It did not broadcast threats or demands. Instead, it positioned itself between the coalition's shattered defense line and the advancing Gothic, felt like a shield placed with quiet confidence. Gothic commanders, arrogant in their superiority, submitted a surrender ultimatum. The message was simple: withdraw or be erased. The human reply was even simpler: negative. Moments later, the void ignited. The human vessel unleashed a barrage of kinetic lances that crossed the battlefield at near light speed. Entire Gothic cruisers were pierced clean through before their shield could adapt. Energy beams from the Dominion struck the human hull, but the ship endured. Its layered armor absorbing impact that would have vaporized smaller craft. Coalition officers watched in stunned silence. The single vessel maneuvered with impossible precision, rotating massive spinal cannons into alignment, firing in measured intervals that demonstrated terrifying accuracy. Each shot crippled a capital ship. Then something even stranger happened. Human transmissions flooded the battlefield on open channels. They were not battle cries or threats. They were coordination updates, tactical adjustments, requests for coalition ship to reposition. Humanity was not merely fighting for them. They were integrating them into the battle plan. Within hours, the Gothic formation fractured. Their once unstoppable armada began to retreat under relentless pressure. The lone human warship advanced steadily, forcing the Dominion back toward the system's edge. When the last Gothic dreadnought failed into hyperspace, the battlefield fell silent. Debris drifted like metallic ash across the stars. The coalition still struggled to comprehend what they had witnessed. One ship had done what entire fleets had failed to accomplish. One ship had turned extinction into survival. And it had arrived because a signal no one fully understood. With the immediate threat gone, the Coalition Council requested direct communication. A holographic projection flickered to life in their chamber, revealing a human representative clad in a dark uniform marked with insignias of rank. The human introduced herself as Admiral Reyes of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Her voice was calm, measured, unmistakably confident. You activated an ancient beacon originally designed for our species, she explained. It was placed in this origin over a millennium ago by early exploratory vessels. You are not the first civilization to trigger it. Shock rippled through the council. Humanity had been in this quadrant before, quietly observing, perhaps even safeguarding. Why help us? One counselor asked. You owe us nothing. Admiral Reyes did not hesitate. Your signal invoked a defense clause written by our ancestor. When someone calls for aid against annihilation, we answer. She paused, then added with subtle gravity. We know what it means to face extinction. The implication hung heavy in the air. Humanity was not a conqueror answering a summon for territory. They were survivors responding to a cry they understood too well. The coalition realized then that the beacon had not summoned an empire seeking dominance. It had summoned a species forged by hardship. In the weeks had followed, humanity did not demand tribute or control. They established joint defense protocols, shared tactical knowledge, and reinforced key coalition systems against future Gothic aggressions. The presence of the human warship became a symbol across coalition worlds. Children watched its silhouette cross their skies and felt something unfamiliar safety. But beyond coalition space, whispers spread through the Dominion. They spoke of the massive ship that fight alone and did not fall. They spoke of a species that answered accidental calls with overwhelming force. Gothic war planners began revising their maps, marking Sol with a warning designation, engagement not advised. As for the coalition, they upgraded the ancient beacon's translation matrices, ensuring future signals could be clear, more deliberate, because now they knew exactly who they were calling. Community, a species that arrives when summoned, a species that fight as if every battle is their own, a species that does not forget the sound of a desperate signal in the dark. And somewhere beyond the edge of non space, more beacons waited, silent and ancient. If they ever lit again, the stars themselves might tremble, because if humanity answers once, they will answer again, and next time they might not come alone. Years later, when the coalition rebuilt its fields and fortified its borders, the ancient beacon remained active, no longer a relic of desperation but a symbol of connection. Human envoys came and went, their massive warship sometimes visible at the edge of the system, like a silent guardian watching from afar. The galaxy learned a quiet trust whispered between rival empires and cautious diplomats alike. If you call into the dark and humanity answers, you are no longer alone. And if you threaten those under their protection, the stars themselves will remember the day a single warship changed the fate of worlds.